Alrighty, good afternoon, YouTube. This is Hajim Zero here, back with another quick movie review. This one is one of my favorites with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. In my opinion, one of Tom Cruise's best performances. This movie is Collateral, and it's about a taxi driver. You know, picking up a hitman, even though he doesn't know it yet until he makes his first kill, and he's driving him around, making all of his hits, and it all takes place in one night. The movie is really good with suspense, and you find out the real reason why he's killing all these people. And again, I don't want to spoil it. It does, in the story narrative, it does go right back a little bit in the beginning of the movie. I think around the first act of why he's killing the people. And let me just say, when he meets Jada Pinkett's character, Annie, who is like a lawyer, and before he picks up Vincent, it all makes sense. This movie was directed by Michael Mann, and of course it stars Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett Smith, Tom Cruise, and Mark Ruffalo. Or the four main honchos. Additional actors. Jason Statham actually appeared in this in the beginning of the movie, and it was a fun theory saying it was Frank from the Transporter. I don't know if you guys seen his action movies, but this was before I think Jason Statham had became a huge star here in America. This movie came out in 2004, and he did some movies already in America. I think, like I said, Transporter was one, and he did the one with Jet Li called The One, but I think it wasn't until like Crankhead came out he became a big star. Another actor that's in this, I can't remember his name now, but he was in No Country for Old Men, and he was in Skyfall. He's a very good Spanish actor. His name is Javier or something, and he looks different in this. He put on a couple of pounds, and then when you see him in No Country for Old Men, he's like a medium built, and then he's completely different when he does Skyfall. But I feel bad not knowing his name, because this is the first movie I've seen him in, and he's a good actor. But what really sold it was when I saw No Country for Old Men in college, when we had to watch it for our existentialist class, and that's going to be a good conversation, because I bought that too, and I'm going to review it in the future. But I really like this movie because of the story narrative. It really gave a good perspective on two people's lives who are very different. And they always say you always encounter people like that, at least 3 times in your life. Well, I say that indirectly. They both have a high stature about themselves, but at the same time, they come at life at a different perspective. And one's a hitman, one's a cabbie driver. And I would say this, just a funny joke. It would be kind of interesting to see this if they did this movie today and you have Uber instead of the whole taxi driving. But what really sold it for me, it was both the performance of Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. Funny thing is that they originally wanted Ice Cube to play Max, the cabbie driver. That would have been interesting, and I think I know why, because he really sold the average, nerd-looking guy with the glasses, and I think it was the movie Barbershop. But with Ice Cube's notoriety and the other movies he's done, it wouldn't have fit him. I haven't seen Ice Cube do a drama ever since Boys in the Hood, of course, and Higher Learning. And I think it was another film he did that was a little bit drama. Oh, the Players Club. But if he would have done that in the past, that would have booted his resume and, like I said, notoriety. But he wouldn't be caught doing a movie like this today. That's not his MO. Yeah, if it's Ice Cube, it would have sold. But you have Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, and that's one of the main reasons why this movie sold. And this is one of my top favorite performances by Tom Cruise. We're always used to seeing him, play a good guy, but on here he plays a cold-hearted hitman who is intimidating, with the gray hair, and then, with this whole talk about, how, so many people got killed in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and no one had blinked an eye. But Max cared about this one fat guy that he just killed for no reason. And just like with Training Day with Denzel, he really sells you a little bit on being seductive and some of the mental games he plays with chess, but he's a little bit more aggressive with it. Um, you know, most people, they really wouldn't have cared. They're driving around and this guy's doing hits. Most people, depending how cold-hearted they are, they would do it. But unless, you knew he was doing it, you wouldn't have gave a shit. So, uh, and like I stated before, this is one of my favorite movies with Tom Cruise. The others were like The Outsiders and I know Vanilla Sky was another good one. A lot of people argue, they say you don't say Top Gun, you don't say Mission Impossible. I was like, well, I think that's really a given. He owns the Mission Impossible brand, and then with Top Gun, that, as well as I think it was Footloose, or no, it was Cocktail. It really made his career. But this is why I say I really love actors who can take on darker roles, or they would do something the complete opposite, because it really shows their acting chops. And I remember when Training Day had came out with Denzel, a lot of women didn't like him being in that movie because of how corrupted and twisted, Alonzo Harris, the was. And like I said, that's complete, bullshit. I think I even stated before with Adam Sandler, the known comedian, one of the best movies I liked him in, as a dramatic actor, was Reign Over Me. And, it was, as well, it was sad. It was one of the underrated performances that he's given, despite his reputation in Hollywood now, where it's pretty much a joke on anything he makes, but he is a staple name. Regardless, I still, like the stuff he made. So, say whatever you want to about Tom Cruise if you don't like him because of Scientology, or, I remember one lady was just joking, I really don't really give a shit about him. He's just over the top. I was like, once you see this movie, you can, if you like those psychological, drama thrillers, on this intense subject matter, he did a good job. And then, of course, Mark Ruffalo, who was another starving actor at the time, now he is a staple name, and being in the Avengers, he looks a hell of a lot different in this movie than when you see him in, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He really sells it at playing, a homicide, homicidal detective. I think I may have said that wrong. He's a detective that works in homicide. He's not a crazy cop. But, I don't know if he has any Latin roots or not. I think he probably does. But if you see him in Avengers, it really fools you versus seeing him on here. He's not packing many pounds of what I noticed in the last MCU movie I seen him in. I think it was Infinity War, because I noticed he looked a tad bit chubby. But regardless, he's still a good actor, and I love his work. But the last thing I will say, looking at the behind the scenes about Michael Mann, he pretty much, I'm assuming he's like Christopher Nolan when he did the Batman trilogy. He doesn't do any second unit shooting. I'm assuming he's there for every single shot, because the way they had described, how deep he gets into the characters he's, that's created on the page. Like, of course, he made Tom Cruise do the whole taxi driving thing, trained with one of them. Him and Tom had collaborated on Vincent's wardrobe and giving pictures of where he most likely grew up in. And even with the character of Annie, Jada Pinkett said that he made her hang out with a couple that most likely would have been her parents. So it's just these little small tidbit things. And even when I write, even with my comic book stuff, I do think about most of the time what the character's doing, what they're feeling, what they're saying, what their facial expressions are. And of course, when it's drawn, it all comes together. But that's the one thing I did respect and like about the guy. Like, he's there for every single detail, and that's kind of how I am. I look at everything before I send it off to someone else, or most likely if I did choose to be director, I'd probably kill myself doing the same exact thing. I wouldn't have any second unit, you know, you know, directing. I'll possibly do all the action stuff first and then shoot the small, quieter scenes a little bit later. But side effect, that's all I got to say about this one. It's another good movie. It's probably on Netflix as well. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.